I feel it's my duty as a pilot, as a member of the union, to come out any chance I get. And this is the second time this week that I have walked the line, and I'm very proud to do so. It's Florida, it's August, it's not comfortable, it's very hot, it's very humid, but the conditions really matter a lot less walking the picket line than they do flying the line, and that's what really matters.
We are here to show support for this union and hopefully just get management moving on getting things up to speed with the industry, across the industry-wise. Things are tough out there on the road when you work long duty days and you have a short overnight just to get up early the next morning and do it again.
He comes home from a week at work so completely fatigued that it takes days for him to just return to a normal schedule. You don't see airline pilots coming home that tired.
He does come home tired. And it takes him a little bit to kind of switch over from that fast-paced schedule to being used to being at home.
You know, it's supposed to be 7 on, 7 off. Well, that first day home, that's not a day home. That's a day to recover. So he then has 6 days left. Well, the last day, he's getting ready to leave again. So it's really 5 days. And that first day is just utter exhaustion.
If you got a 10-hour turn, an hour off each end of that, travel time, plus winding down, I mean, you might get 6 hours of sleep and then you get up the next day and you do it again. Then it's the same routine for a week straight.
Life on the road now, I guess, would be best described as just hectic with constant daily changes and updates, you know, to our schedule. With flip-flopping circadian rhythms, everything's confusion. Even if you present a better plan to them, they're gonna go with the computer.
He's exhausted. Especially after this last tour, he slept a lot longer because of being fatigued from this previous tour.
They can utilize you. It's, 12-hour days, 12 hours off, pretty much guaranteed. They're pushing and pushing harder.
It seems to be that they try to squeeze those hours every day out of us.
We went from having supposedly a great relationship with management. All we have now is mismanagement. There's no more goodwill between the pilots and the management, or management versus the pilots.
When I first hired on 2 years ago, it seemed like it was a very collaborative relationship in which, the pilots could bring up issues and they would be addressed. There's too many times that issues have been raised and either ignored or put off, or ineffective fixes have been put in place, but it's no longer collaborative.
We used to work together, pull on the same rope, as they like to refer to, but now it seems like everyone's pulling on their end of the rope out of this time frame where pilots are at a premium.
There's the threat. There may soon not be enough pilots to accommodate the volume of travelers. An industry group told Congress earlier this spring the U.S. airline industry is about to be hit with a tsunami of pilot retirements that will further the nation's pilot shortage, limiting flight availability for passengers and putting upward pressure on fares. In the United States, we are facing an aging pilot workforce on the brink of mandatory retirement, fewer pilots exiting the military, and barriers to entry, including the cost of training.
For decades, you could take for granted that the military and civilian flight schools were going to produce enough pilots, and all you had to do is go out and hire them.
Yeah, but this graph here offers a glimpse into the crisis. The blue line that you see right here represents the active supply of global pilots ready to fly. The yellow line, that shows you the increasing demand. Regarding magnitude, in our most likely scenarios, there is a global gap of 34,000 pilots by 2025. That's not far off. Eventually, the impact of furloughs, retirements, and defections will create very real challenges for even some of the biggest carriers. United Airlines, for example, expects major U.S. carriers will need 10,000 new pilots this year, but only have about 6,600 qualified candidates right now. It has become an ongoing challenge to find and recruit the next generation of aviators.
Just the disrespect from management and how they view their pilot group upsets me, and I want to be paid, industry wages for all the work I do, for the 50 jobs I do besides being a pilot and moving metal for the company.
We do everything. We literally could be flying out of JFK, dealing with all of the things that a typical mainline pilot would be dealing with, and yet flying those same passengers into Aspen, Eagle, an uncontrolled field in Iowa, and we're required to know all and be all and do it all safely. So the breadth of things that we are required to do is far beyond anything that any of our Part 121 peers has to do.
I just don't think we're valued like we should be. I think we should be being paid more than an airline pilot. We have the same ATP license, but my job is much more challenging and difficult.
Our job is harder than major airlines, but we get paid less. So to me, that's a simple, really simple thing, to think about.
We feel like there's a lot going on in the industry, as everybody knows. And when I say I want to be here, I really do want to be here. But there's other things out there that are attractive, and they're becoming more and more attractive.
The pay difference is getting more and more significant with each contract that is signed by aviation peers, whether it's major airlines like Delta, United, American, whether it is some of the second-tier airlines like Spirit, Frontier, Allegiant, or quite frankly, whether it's the regional airlines that used to be a career stepping stone. Those are now more lucrative dollar-wise than a career at NetJets is.
We're having conversations at home about moving to another company because we are thinking about starting a family soon. The cost of living has gone up exorbitantly, and since the company is not taking care to match contracts with other places, we're seeing all these amazing offers where people are working fewer hours per day, where pilots are not as tired.
I'm actually very surprised that captains with 20 plus years of experience here at NetJets are finally deciding to leave and go for greener pastures. I think it's indicative of sort of the attitude that we feel right now from management, the way we're treated.
I have a friend here who is 18 years who just left for American. He was just convinced that NetJets would never be competitive with the legacy airlines.
If salaries are not updated according to the industry and the market, there's no reason to stay here, especially how they're hiring.
Delta can offer better longevity if things don't improve and management doesn't come to a conclusion on something.
Obviously the pay is an issue. The other issue is the quality of life. We're seeing a lot of 14 and 10 turns and multiple days in a row.
I got options. If things don't change, there are other options out there, and I mean, I know I've got connections in options that I can reach out to.
I'm highly competitive for United, Delta, and American. I've updated my electronic logbook, and I'm ready to go.
It obviously makes you feel undervalued when you see all the legacy carriers getting 30, 40% gains, better quality of life in their contract, and getting shorter contracts with these big pay raises. And the only thing NetJets wants to offer us is, for lack of a better term, peanuts, and lock us down for another 10 years, so we'll even be farther behind. What they don't understand is they're the ones that are damaging the brand, not the pilot group, not the union. They're the ones that are damaging this brand. And everyone that's out here loves this company, and we want to retire here, and we don't want the brand to be damaged. Unfortunately, the days of goodwill and going above and beyond to do other people's job in Columbus are no longer there. And that's how the majority of the pilot group feels now.
I have had several folks ask me for recommendations, and I have had to tell them that I currently cannot recommend NetJets as a career destination.
Right now, if they've got no seniority here, they might as well go to the legacy airlines and start building seniority. Just for your family alone, you have to think about a legacy airline.
At this stage, I feel like I tell some of the younger guys and gals, like, just look at all your options.
This was, to me, a career destination since I was a kid. I've known about NetJets since I was 18 years old. I have all these friends jumping to Delta. Southwest just opened a base in Nashville, where we live. I mean, all these things are happening in the industry. Part of the discussion is how badly I want a reason to stay. So I'm like sitting here going, please, please, please come up with something, give us a reason, because otherwise these other things might force my hand to do what's financially practical.
Quality of life is not here. They really need to consider other aviation jobs if they want to have their health to stay here long term.
Just the way that we're being mistreated more than anything else shows me that this is not someplace that somebody would want to come and stay. I've seen a lot of my classmates who came here as a career destination and are now gone for those very same reasons.
I really thought of this as a very prestigious place to be and a very good career destination, and this is the cream of the crop. Now I kind of tell people, well, here's our schedule, here's our lifestyle, but you'll be tired. And I always throw that in there. I'm like, you will be beat if you work at this company. Just be ready for that. It's becoming a very much a young person's job where you do it until you're ready to move on to something that's a little more better for a family lifestyle or something like that.
The fact that we're just lagging behind. Everybody else is getting contracts and we're not. And it's really hard on the families with us being gone as much as we are.
I have 100% support of the union leadership. I feel like they have taken the pulse of the union. They know what the pilot collective wants, and they're doing everything that I would do if I were in leadership to try to get it.
They are taking our words and letting the management team know what our expectations are.
If we don't get a solid contract with pay and quality of life improvements, we could see not only a mass exodus, but we'll see more and more stories of folks who hired on with NetJets, and before they finish their first year, they're bouncing to somewhere else.
It's close to 90 degrees. We've been walking for about 2 hours. We've got 1 more hour to go. So, I mean, everybody can do something else right now, whether it's working, hanging out at their pool, or spending time with their family. There's 100 different things that everyone behind me could be doing, but we choose to be out here to try to get management's attention.
Anytime I'm off, if they're going to have an informational picket and I'm within striking distance, or if I can get a plane ticket, I'll be there. So I support them.
If we want to improve the working conditions, if we want to improve the way we're treated, this is a small piece of what we can do to try to make that happen. And as uncomfortable as it is, it's the important thing to do, and I think it'll make the rest of our lives at NetJets more comfortable.